the normal rigmarole of that dungeon, you can just, skip into that dungeon and grab the big key, the big chest item, and just leave. Or you can go into that dungeon, grab the big chest item, mirror, and then come back in and do the dungeon normally and just kill the boss and save a bunch of time by being able to skip the big key. There's a number of ways in which skips like this are useful. But for sure, in Palace of Darkness, you're going to want the mirror as soon as... Not the mirror, the hammer as soon as possible. And the Kiki skip is an integral factor into getting that without doing the normal business that is required for the Palace of Darkness.
So one thing we probably should mention, you may have seen Christos just pause his game a number of times in a row. That is a strategy called select buffering. By going into the save and quit menu and exiting out of it, you can more easily do precise one-frame movements. The one-frame movements being diagonals and various directions to clip into the wall. The select buffering is the usual method of doing an indoor clip in a situation where the boots would not, where a dash clip wouldn't work.
Right, and alternatively to that, you can use items or your sword to buffer, and they give you a much smaller window and are much faster. So you have to trade off not having that big window that the select buffer gives you, but you save a bunch of time by not opening select buffer. So you'll see Scooge going for sword or item buffers as opposed to select buffers, and that will save him a considerable amount of time in terms of execution.
There are at least three standard clips that you'll see. The first is the dash clip that you saw earlier, where you use the dash boots to get through a diagonal. That's typically used, you'll see that most often for the Death Mountain ascent. You'll see the select buffer method that Christos just used, or the sword buffer or boomerang buffer is the other one, although I believe you can use hook shot too. And then there's one other method of clipping, typically used to get down off of Death Mountain, where you activate the spin speed glitch or the hook dash glitch, and with the spin speed you can just kind of walk straight through the collision detection of a diagonal and hop down off Death Mountain.
Yeah, super speed, which is used in no major glitches. If you walk through corners of walls on the overworld, you're very easily able to pass beyond that collision detection and get outside or out of bounds very easily. But inside dungeons, it's not the same case. It's not so easy to activate super speed. And even then, if you were able to, it wouldn't get you to the same out of bounds states that the overworld is able to get you with super speed. So,
are there any dungeons that have a manual staircase in them? I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Palace.
Where inside the dungeon?
Yeah, both the bow room and the big key room have stairs that you could activate super speed from. Neither of them have places where you could clip out of bounds after achieving super speed, but you could do it in that dungeon. Alternatively, you don't actually have to have super speed to achieve the same clips and whatnot that you're going to use. It just makes it much faster to have the super speed state to get those glitches or get those clips.
So here you see Scudge cleaning up his Cold Stare No Fire Rod. One thing that you'll never see in No Major Glitches, but you may see it in 100%. I don't know if you get bombos before Cold Stare in the 100% route.
You do, it's just slower to menu to it.
But the Bombos medallion will clear out Cold Stare's ice shell in one go. So I know that Scudge has gotten his 8 items right to left. He's gotten Cold Stare No Fire Rod, buy and sell wares with the merchant, and he has actually Scudge is done. He has hit his timer for a 47:48. That is a GG to Scudge. So right on that 45-minute estimate.
Very good. The guy is just too good at not only being able to route on the fly, but knowing what he can do in order to complete these goals. Pretty much an unstoppable force in a puzzle or a bingo
I don't
scenario.
know about that.
Yeah, come on, man.
So you just saw Christos actually do the super speed clip to get off of, to jump down from the bottom of Death Mountain, screen wrap around to the top, walk into an area that these runners actually just know from a visual cue. And since he's screen wrapped to the top of the screen, it puts him inside of Hera. So it's a quick way to get from the bottom of Death Mountain up into Hera, or in the Dark World from the bottom of Death Mountain up into Ganon's Tower, I believe, without having to climb the mountain.
Yeah, so Scudge, if you want to talk about sort of how you decided your column and what you did to execute it.
Yeah, it's hard to really explain how I pick a column or a row. I just kind of read each one individually and pick one that doesn't sound horrible. Like 15 hearts, I just don't like that. That goal kicked my butt recently, so I just marked that one red and didn't even look at the row and column with that one in it. And I think Chris does the same. I think he'll look over ones that he can't do or just really doesn't want to do and marks them red, and then checks the remaining rows. But yeah, of course, getting A items first was a good idea so that I could get the boots as early as possible. But the plan was to go to, up the mountain to Hera, go to the Palace of Darkness, get the hammer so I could get gloves later and kill Helmasaur while I'm there. But I didn't have the bow and arrow yet, so I just bailed out of that. And then I realized that I should have at least gotten the hammer first before leaving. So I went and got the flippers. Then I went back, got the hammer again. Felt stupid. Got the gloves, the boots, everything. But I also consolidated a bunch of stuff around Swamp. Bombos is right next to Swamp, so I made sure to get the book and upgraded sword before that. Got the map and the compass from Swamp and got the fish right afterwards to take to the merchant. And I got safeties early, because I always do. Especially considering I was planning on killing Helmasaur very early.
So, of course, anybody that's watched any of the GDQs, or watched the most recent GDQ, you saw reverse boss order. The whole idea of reverse boss order and the glitch fest that is was actually made possible by Super Scudge by using a combination of these glitches to find a way to get the boots without killing Armos. So he's pretty much... I know that if I ever have a question about any sort of glitch or any weird thing, he's pretty much the first person I go to. So I definitely recommend that if you ever see him running Swordless as one of his newer projects, if you ever see him running any of the glitch categories, definitely check his stream out. Some of the things he does to this game and some of the ways that this game can break without crashing are really impressive.
That's a really impressive thing about the game, yeah. That it can be in such a glitch state, but somehow keeps running and trying to do something. Like it just refuses to break.
Not that it refuses to break, it refuses to crash.
Yeah. I mean...
You have to do a lot of stuff to get this game to completely soft lock or crash. And it's interesting that in the same sense that in a No Major Glitches run, you do the fake flippers and get damaged, and you can easily soft lock the game in that scenario, which... in a No Major Glitches run, clearly there's no major glitches being used and you're still able to soft lock the game. That's a testament to the video game itself in that so many other categories can be done and so much can be wrong in the game's SRAM that you can still continue to play. It's pretty crazy.
Probably the best example of that for anybody that saw the RBO run at GDQ or saw any of the later RBO runs by either Scudge or Andy. There's a YBA, it's a glitch called Yuzahara Bottle Adventure, where you use a bottle on the same frame as a screen transition, and they actually add another element where they use a bottle, release a spin attack, and screen transition all on the same frame, and it causes the screen to wrap in such a way that they move 4 rooms north, and it completely breaks the graphics. So they end up fighting Landmolas and Argus, and I think even Mothula has been added to a similar effect. But you can't see the boss. The screen is just a total jumble of random data. due to I would imagine it's an overflow of data into the video RAM, but the game doesn't crash.
And the only way to fix such graphical errors is to hard reset the game. So in an optimal RBO speedrun, you're actually going to hard reset the console twice just to fix the graphics so that you can continue to speedrun optimally.
In a GDQ RBO speedrun, you're going to hard reset the console 3 times when somebody gets excited and stomps on the stage.
And I'd just like to say now that it wasn't Scooge's competitor
It
was not
Scooge's
console.
Andy.
It was definitely one of the commentators, which was Peacoll 444444444.
So here's a graphical glitch right there. It actually, Christos has, instead of fighting Ice Armos, he's going to go ahead and fight Lava Armos, his little-known cousin from Kentucky.
Lava Armos.
He's got Lava Armos.
Dang, hold on, I gotta check it out.
I've actually never seen Lava Armos.
Huh. Did he YBA in here or something?
I think he clipped in.
Clipped in?
I don't know that I saw a YBA.
Maybe he did a EG from the cave near the sanctuary.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I think he's EG'd into this.
Okay, cool.
So this is essentially what happens when you use the exploration glitch. Because the game loads graphical assets based off of the entrance that you walk into, you end up with a dungeon loaded with the wrong tile set. So in this case, it's a dungeon. It's Ganon's Tower. We clearly recognize it, but he entered it from a cave. So you've got the cave block set, you've got the cave palette, and because of that, the cave palette doesn't have, that particular palette doesn't have ice. It has lava or red water.
So the Ganon's Tower is unique in that you can kill sprites that identify as bosses and not collect a heart container and have to kill them again. They don't stay permanently dead. That is actually a unique code to Ganon's Tower. And the dungeon loads, as you mentioned, based on what entrance you use. So if you are able to fight those bosses from any other entrance than Ganon Tower's main entrance, then you don't have Ganon Tower loaded. That code's not there, so they just behave as normal bosses. They'll drop a heart container, and they will be permanently dead.
Another way that mechanic is used is, again, when you kill a boss, it is programmed to drop an item based off of the dungeon that you're in. And if you clip out of the escape and you go kill a boss while the escape sequence is loaded, the boss will drop the Ether Medallion.
Yeah, that's the prize for killing the boss in the Hyrule Castle. But Hyrule Castle, of course, doesn't have a boss. So if you are able to somehow manage to kill a boss without ever leaving that dungeon, then that's what it gives. There's a couple other random items in that, like that table of drops. Bombos is actually on there, but I don't think you can actually get it to drop from a boss.
So more lava as Christos moves on through. I believe he is going to go fight Landmolas and cause Landmolas to drop a heart, and then Moldorm too.
I believe that is what he's doing. That'll be 15 hearts after that. We'll be done.
He does not have the fire rod, so he tried some bomb strats on Landmolas to very little success.
It was cute though. Tempered Sword, of course, is very strong against Landmolas as well.
Spin attack wraps it up, gets that 14th heart piece, and we are heading towards Moldorm 2 to finish his row.
And a really interesting approach to 15 hearts. Usually if you're going to be collecting these extra heart pieces, it would be right at the start. And he chose to get them at the end, which required quite a lot of planning.
Yeah, he needs a lot of items to get through Ganon's Tower, really. I'd get one. I'd do one. I'd just get Armos and then leave, probably, if I had to do this.
I'm a little surprised he bothered to pick up the red mail. I'm not sure I follow the reasoning for that.
Well, I think I was already done, so he probably didn't really care about saving time, not getting it. He's gotten hit by some high damage enemies. I think he got hit by a Wizrobe.
Yeah, those Wizrobe rooms without the cane, certainly you have to take a different strategy. And this torch room here, without the fire rod, you have to know that you can actually hit a torch from much farther away than you would think.
Torch range is pretty cool. There's another way to do that without having to do that. Do the top right one. How I guess Jaden did in No EG. And he'll be down as soon as he kills this boss.
The other thing is that you'll, when you enter a dungeon by clipping in from a cave, you don't actually need to collect any. You don't actually need to collect any keys because a cave doesn't have an initialized key value. Whenever you go to open a door, it checks not to see if you have one key, but to see if you have 0 keys. And if you have any number other than 0, it assumes that you have a key to open the door. Well, since you've entered from a dungeon, that variable for keys is not initialized, so it's not 0, it's null. Because of that, it will let you open any keyed door, even if you haven't collected any keys, and it goes from null, subtracts 1, and ends up at 254 keys.
Yeah, it's funny, if you pick up a key, you'll actually overflow to 0, and you won't be able to open up any doors, and that key will be gone forever. If you reload the dungeon, you'll never be able to get that key. So be careful not to accidentally do that in one of these kind of races.
Same thing with the big key. If you clip into a dungeon and you pick up the big key, when you enter the dungeon normally, you won't have the big key and you won't be able to get it.
Actually, yes, that's right. It doesn't actually change whether you have it while you're in a cave state, because collecting the big key sets the byte. It doesn't increment it. So it would just set it to what value it already contained. But when you come back into the dungeon, that's correct, you will not be able to get it. So make sure you open up every big key door if you accidentally pick up a big key while in a cave.
All right, so that does it for our bingo exhibition. GG to Scudge, right in there, right around the 45-minute estimate. Christos also put on a pretty good show and jumping off a cliff here just because. So stick around. In 13 minutes, we have Andy and Bresticle getting back to the No Major Glitches tournament, our final race for tonight. I will be on commentary for that with Emetron. So stick around, and we'll be back shortly.
Yeah, more like 13 minutes, seems like.
Rip Sticky Priest. I think we're actually going to go ahead and keep the stream up. So if anybody is sticking in the chat between now and then, if you have any questions about the tournament or about the No Major Glitches route or the bingo that you just saw, I'll be sticking around and I'll be able to answer any questions you might have. And I think Sean Cass is still around too. Your mic cut out. Yeah. There you are. 1631 with those Apple strats.
Wait. Wait, you PV'd, Joe?
In Aladdin.
What time? Oh, Aladdin. Oh. That's sick, dude. No.
The last time he actually did run RBO for the SNES Superstars Marathon, so that was the week of March 13th. But I think after that, I haven't seen. But I do see Andy in the chat, in the Discord, so I think he is about ready to go live. And we've got Emetron joining us for commentary on Andy versus Breasticle. Breasticle is... hi, Emma.
Hi.
Yo, what up?
What up? Oh, is that my opponent?
It is your opponent.
Oh,
That
I'm
is-
gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna
Whoa.
fuck you up. You're
Yo.
losing.
Yo,
Oh my god.
It's happening.
Do you hear this
Yo.
abuse?
the language
can't
on this...
support
I'm
that.
gonna fuck you up.
The
It's
language
happening.
Don't
on this-
support this.
Going down in round 1. Get to the losers bracket tomorrow 9 a.m.
The language on this PG-rated stream.
PG.
It's supposed to be.
I'm gonna mess you up. Let me tell you. I'm not gonna use the F word in terms of messing you up.
I'm so scared.
Yes, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., if anybody wants to wake up with a cup of coffee and some Link to the Past, we will have a special guest in the tournament, Twin Galaxies champion Rodrigo Lopez, the Conquistador de la Link to the Past, also known as Sean
going to
Cass.
have my way with you. Let me tell you. I am going to do a horrible accent. I'm going to do a horrible speed run, and I'm going to put you into the losers bracket. Let me tell you.
Sean Cass will be facing my commentary partner tonight, Emetron, at 9 in the morning. So if you want to wake up, get a cup of coffee, eat a pancake, watch some Zelda 3, be sure to tune in. I think we'll be trying to restream that. But if not, definitely watch them on twitch.tv/SeanCass and twitch.tv/Emetron.
Metatron seems to pose some type of a threat to Rodrigo Lopez, but this is not going to happen. See, I will be the controller of the race. I will send my opponents to the losers bracket without any type of...
What accent are you going? What accent are you going for there? Because you sound like cheesy TV movie terrorist right now.
That is the exact accent that I am going for. I am not going for any particular nationality or creed. I am going for TV ultra villain accent.
Oh
Let
man!
me tell you.
Oh man!
Rodrigo Lopez, Twin Galaxies world record holder for A Link to the Past, is going to dominate this tournament bracket. Let me tell you, I have paid $15 to submit my run to Twin Galaxies and hold the world record. There is no other world record and more important than my Twin Galaxies time that I've submitted for $15, and it was...
But Rodrigo, what about Zelda?
Checked by Twin Galaxies referees to make sure that this was the most legit time. There was no abuses of the glitches, no abuses of the deaths, and we were able to get the world record for all of the United States and not just the United States, because Twin Galaxies happens to reside in the United States, but this is a worldwide record that I hold at an hour and 40 something seconds.
An hour and 40 seconds. That's impressive.
Yes. See, even I don't know what I'm talking about because I own the Twin Galaxies world record. and it is the world record that defines the world. Let me just tell you. So,
Okay.
All right. The more you talk, the less scared I am. So you can keep going.
don't worry, I'm going to get the bottle and crush you.
Isn't it past your bedtime?
It is very far past my bedtime.
Go to bed, Rodrigo.